And a very good evening. Live music is what you want, live music is what you can have. My name is Jericho Keys, and it's time for our first session tonight. We've got Soulstar in the mix. Good evening, Soulstar.
Good evening.
How are we? Are we well?
I'm very well, thank you. How's yourself?
Yeah, really, really well, thank you. And I know that Soulstar has been something I believe you've only created within the last, would you say 12 months?
Yeah, so I originally went under an alias called Onyx, and I used to make a lot of bass line back in the day, but I had a love, well, to be honest, I kind of fell in love with garage whilst I was making a lot of bass line, and was looking at rebranding, and so I kind of shut down Onyx and then took on Soulstar, so yeah, here we are.
I tell you what, right, I bet you're glad, kind of, that you fell out of love with that and fallen in love with garage, because it's popping off for you. The Beatport chart, number 3, weren't you?
Yeah, ended up getting number 3, and then in the Juno downloads was within the top 10 as well, so it popped off quite well, and that was with the Foul Point label that I'm working with at the moment, and they're just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it sounds great, and I love it. And I actually said this on the show just before Christmas, that your connection to the area, where you said to me, Hull is my birth town and my home, but UK garage is where my heart belongs. I just think that is one of the best taglines for anyone's creative muse I've ever heard.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
Yeah,
it's quite a big year up north, I've got to say. It's definitely growing.
Well, take us on that journey then. What do you put that down to? Why is it growing up north this year, and why is sort of UK garage and yourself and other people in your sort of arena taking over?
So, well, to be honest with you, I think a massive thanks to Sammy Vergy, really, for putting it back on the map. I mean, garage used to be really big back in the 90s, as you probably knew, and then it sort of grew over the past few years from, as I said, from the likes of Sammy Vergy popping it back on the map. And yeah, I send my thanks to him, really, and a lot of artists up north are being really inspired by it, myself included, and I have a good friend who has inspired me massively as well, who undergoes under the name of Pirate, and Tom is a good friend of mine, and he's sort of inspired me to get back into music production, and yeah, I think garage is really taking off back up here up north.
Yeah, what do you know, has it always been about DJing and producing for you, or had you started doing other things before you fell in love with the decks?
Yeah, so prior to that, I was actually into films. I studied at Leeds Beckett, and I was studying at the Northern Film School, so I was making a lot of films, I was directing and producing, and that was really where my heart was. But then whilst I was at uni, a good friend of mine got me introduced to bass house and bass line, so it was the early likes of Skepsis, Darksea, and Sammy Vergy included, and I used to go to Mint Club when it was still open. It was a mad club back in the day.
Yeah, I know it.
And Mint Warehouse, and we used to just go watch the sets all the time, every time they were on. And then I suppose the more I went, the more I just fell in love with the music, and then and it sort of grew from there, really.
Who says university's a waste of time, eh?
It was in that respect, but yeah, I wish I'd have took on music, to be honest with you.
Do you know, what is it then? I know it's probably a difficult question to answer, because if you love something, you just love it regardless. What is it about UK garage as opposed to other genres that has stolen your heart and made you want to create records like this yourself?
I think it's very different. You know, house music's always been so big and has probably influenced a lot of UK garage, but I find garage just has, even the rhythm of the beats are just so, I call it like steppy. If you imagine two-stepping, as soon as you say the word two-step, you already know, you can already see the dance moves like in your head. And I just think even just from the rhythms, from the drums, the synths, everything's just so different to standard music, but also has taken inspiration from other genres whilst doing so. So I just think it's absolutely amazing.
You've done a really good sell there, mate. And you said you could already imagine the dance. I'm doing it already. I'm doing this two-stepper. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Hey, tell me about this gig that you got coming up in Leeds.
It's so catchy. Honestly, I love it.
Hey, what's this gig that you've got coming up in Leeds?
So I'm playing the after party of YU Cutie's Underground tour, and that's on behalf of major label that I'm closely working in, tying hands with at the moment, called Airspace.
Yeah.
I'm playing the after party at Hi-Fi Club, and I'm playing at midnight. So all Leeds gang and anyone else who's coming to the show, get yourselves down to the after party afterwards, because it's going to pop off.
Do you know, what are your gigs like now? Have you done many as Soul Star, as opposed to Onyx?
So that's actually my debut set as Soul Star, is that one, which is quite big, to be honest. But as Onyx, I played all around the country. I played for events such as Wub Club and Techers. I played a lot in Sheffield, because that's where the scene was really big. And then I've also played in my hometown of Hull as well. And Leeds was also a big place as well. Played at Hi-Fi a couple of times. And I used to run a record label called Siren. So we had a few events across the country that I'd often do like opening sets and stuff for, to get things going.
You've been about a bit, mate, haven't you?
Yeah, and then my first couple of sets was in, believe it or not, I don't even know how I managed this, was in the Bahama Islands. I just begged the DJ to play a private set, and then he let me do it when I think it must have been about 15. That was my first ever set, and then just since then the love's grown for it.
Awesome. Well, I wish you all the best, mate, with your debut as Soul Star in a couple of weeks in Leeds. But I know that you've put together a 10-minute mix exclusively just for us at BBC Music introducing. So what can we expect for the next 10 minutes then?
So everything is unreleased apart from 2 tunes. You've got 3 unreleased bits from me. I've got some bootlegs on there that I've been working quite hard on at the moment, so I'm hoping to see some good reactions from them. But expect a little bit of dark and a little bit of bouncy as well, I'd say. I'm really trying to show off my new style within this mix, so hopefully it pops off.
I'm sure it will pop off. Soul Star, thank you so much for joining us on the show. It's been such a pleasure. I know it won't be the last time that we chat, and it most certainly won't be the last time that we feature your music on BBC Music in Tuesday. But thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Right then, if you like the sound of this and listen back to the interview, of course it'll be available on BBC Sounds. But for 10 minutes, turn the radio up. This is Soul Star in the mix.
Give me that,